Hey y'all, welcome to Flatfoots and Fools, a podcast about detective games. I'm Andrew.
I'm John.
And we are here to discuss 2021's Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot, The First Cases from Blazing Griffin Studios. For this episode, we're going to have spoilers for the introductory case throughout the whole episode, because it is again the introduction, the tutorial, and a good way to illustrate how the game works, and we'll save heavy game spoilers for the latter section. And that'll be in the timestamps down below. So, John, how did you come to this game?
I got this game through the Humble Bundle, like most people. And I like murder mysteries. I like mysteries and detective games. And I played this game on the Steam Deck. But I keep laughing every time you're going to say Hercule Poirot, because I can't for the life of me pronounce his name correctly.
That's fine, because that's a running joke throughout all Hercule Poirot media. Even in the books, you can see Agatha Christie write it funny ways. Like sometimes she'll write out Hercules pirouettes.
She knew what she was doing. She definitely knew what she was doing. But so I was also, one of the podcasts I listened to is Dungeons and Daddies, and they had a murder mystery series. And that was a lot of fun. So when I saw this game, and I'd been traveling more, and I just played it on the Steam Deck. It was just great. I recall you got it on the same Humble Bundle, right?
Yes, I had just finished marathoning the BBC David Suchet Poirot series, and I'd been looking for more detective games generally, and then this Humble Bundle popped up. So I said, okay, I'll buy all 4 of these. And this was the second game that I played, because I decided to play them in chronological order by release.
Oh, this was the second game?
In terms of development date, yes. In terms of the character's career, it's the first game.
I played it because it was called The First Case. I played it in this order for that reason.
See, that's what a normal person would think. But apparently they decided to mix things up a bit. The first game, The ABC Murders, was done by a different studio several years earlier and feels way different. And then this game and the third one, The London Case, are both done by Blazing Griffin. And then the fourth game, Murder on the Orient Express, is done by a third studio. So calling this a series is a bit, I don't know, it's not a strict series because it's 3 different studios, all making independent games that don't require any of the other ones for you to be able to play them.
Agatha Christie's not in public domain, right?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so. Some Sherlock Holmes is, but not this. So it's all a licensing issue, which is a whole different podcast.
Oh yeah, not getting into that.
That's like a legal eagle thing.
Yes. Unlike the Sherlock Holmes Frogwares series, which is all one studio for the last 20 or so years, I think, flipping around the studios gives you more of a variety of mechanical adaptations. And also, 2 of the games fairly strictly follow original stories, while this one and the other Blazing Griffin game are completely new stories written by the studio. And both of those offer unique opportunities because they do something new. But now they also have to write an Agatha Christie caliber story, which is a different challenge. So the game is a mixture of deduction webs to figure things out with more classic adventure game interactions. We walk around, examine hardpoints, interrogate witnesses, well, maybe interview. You're not really interrogating. This isn't LA Noire.
Going from character to character.
Mm-hmm. So we can start talking about the earliest case, the tutorial and the intro.
A prologue?
Yeah. So in the prologue, you get called to a manor where a bracelet has been stolen, or so it's claimed. And you arrive at the outside. I believe you're fetched by one of the maids?
I believe so. Definitely one of the female servants.
And so the first thing you do is you approach the front of the manor and you stop to examine the yard and figure out, okay, so when this bracelet was stolen, how did the thief get in? And so you wander around the yard, you check the pathway, you see, oh, there are footprints here. Are they fresh? And then you check and see, no, these are the ones that the servant made coming out to get me. All right, well, let's check the windows. Well, they're all barred. There's no way in. Well, you see a ladder that goes up to the side of the house, and you go and check it, and it's too rickety to climb. So yeah, no one would have done that. And after a while, you check all of these locations in the yard, and they fill out a sort of murder pinboard style list of clues.
Yeah, like a web board. And it does it for you automatic, which is nice. And it pulls it out. So it feels relevant, everything you do, everything you look at. Opposed to like most adventure games where you just click on things, it's just flavor text. But it feels like a note for a detective.
Once you have enough of these notes, you can attempt to link them via deductions. They're pretty straightforward. You can click the servant's footprints coming out to summon me, and the servant's footprints who brought me here match. So when you link those two, you can deduce that those are not the thief's footprints, so now you know that's been eliminated. And when you connect these, they tend to unlock either more conversation options, or they'll unlock the conclusions for the chapter. And so in the first case, you do a couple of deductions, and eventually you figure out, okay, the thief could not have gotten in any of the routes through the front. So now it's looking like an inside job. And so you proceed into the house, where you get to interview the witnesses, family members, and other staff.
And I think it was a good, logical deduction that they were showing when you talk to the maids, who's missing. It felt like a good story brewing.
Yeah, and you get a nice cast of characters, and I mean that in more of the flamboyant sense. You start out with the mom, who has already decided who the suspect is and who is guilty, and declared that their life is going to be ruined altogether, regardless of, reality.
What we would call a Karen nowadays.
Very on brand for the rich aristocracy. So, you have a couple members of the staff, the daughter, and you go up to the crime scene, which I believe was the daughter's bedroom where the bracelet was stolen. And you talk to the staff and you start checking, all right, who could have gone up to the bedroom and stolen this bracelet? So you start with everybody's alibis, and then you cross-check their alibis with other people. And it's nice because you can do that on the deduction board. You can link where it says, oh, the cook says they were in the kitchen for that entire time period, and this maid also claims to have been into the kitchen, and they cross-reference each other. And that eliminates those two. And so you go through and figure out who actually had the opportunity to commit this crime, and surprise, surprise, it's not who the mom wants. And so once you eventually find the real culprit, you get to the story beat, and it wraps up the chapter. After this, it launches you into the real game, which is where you return to this household years later.
A couple of years later, you get summoned for a wedding.
Yes, because the daughter is getting married. So you've got the daughter's family, some of their friends, the groom's family, some of their friends, all in a large manor, which is in the process of getting snowed in. And you're the last person to make it into the manor before you're cut off from the outside world. And you've been called in to resolve a blackmail issue.
And that's how the game begins.
And the rest of the game is the large case, which we will dig into in the spoiler section in a little bit.
But how'd you feel about the tutorial, though?
I liked how it introduced you to all of the mechanics, but I wasn't really a fan of the narrative ending, but I get why it had to happen for the story. But it was a nice way to start you out, where it will allow you to check out the clues, and then it's going to make you fit the clues together. And through this, you'll be able to unlock progress through the case.
I agree with you on that, but I was tickled that he started off when he was not quite a detective yet. He was berated, and he was a little out of his depth. That's debatable, but his superior officer and everything and how it ends, it was different. It was refreshing.
Yeah, and that was one of the advantages of them doing an original story, is that they could start before he's the world-famous detective with sort of auto-hacks keycord to do anything he wants with respect to the police.
Is arrogant the right word to constantly say, I'm the world's greatest detective?
I mean, he's at least kind of conceited. And he's that way in most of the stories as well. A detective of my caliber kind of thing. Like, that comes up, I don't know if every single book, but at least every other.
Who he is?
He gets butthurt when people don't know who he is in terms of being a famous detective. So yeah, this is well before all of that. Did this game work well on Steam Deck? Because I played through on desktop.
So playing on the Steam Deck, you're playing on a controller, you're walking around, which this game really does lend itself to. You don't need a lot of buttons. You just need to be able to access the menu, move stuff around, move the body around. For lack of a better phrase, the murder board would have been easier with a mouse. But still, very easy to do as I'm on the train or as I'm traveling or as I'm just sitting on the couch. It's part of the reason why I have officially 27 hours in this thing, because I probably put away the Steam Deck without actually powering it down. So it just racked up time. So no, I'm not actually that bad at the game. I think you said time to beat was usually 9 hours.
Yeah, 9 to 11 hours, depending on how much of a completionist you are.
Yeah, it didn't take me 3 extra times. It's just, you pick up and you go, and it was nice. It's really nice for that. How was it on the PC?
Pretty smooth to play. You could use WASD to move around, or just click and drag or double click to run somewhere, well, walk, so pretty standard adventure game controls. They did keep it fully isometric from a single angle, which I'd like the decision on, well, eventually, because it allowed them to focus on making each room work for that specific angle. And so the design and layout of each room was meant to be only viewed one way, and therefore you didn't have to worry about people spinning the camera around and missing stuff. And this allows the layouts to feel a lot more artfully created.
You didn't have to turn stuff. They probably had more time to work on those assets.
Yeah, and I found it made it easier for me to figure out which things I had already seen and figured out. I've had this problem with some other isometric games where you're allowed to rotate the camera, and for me, it makes it really easy to miss things because the camera angles can hide what I want to see.
They're talking about their other game, Murder Mystery Machine.
2 other games from them, but yes.
I was just thinking the same thing about turning and stuff because this game is also on the Switch. I guess not specifically designed for the Steam Deck, but since it was designed for the Switch is relatively close to the Steam Deck. Probably one of the reasons why it translated so smoothly.
Yeah, that works really well there.
But it was fine on the Steam Deck versus one of their other games when you have that murder board that was free flowing in their earlier games, but you don't have enough screen real estate for like when you have a lot of clues and everything. This game did make it easy to identify what the clues are and group things as if you did have an assistant, which was nice.
Okay, that's good. I was thinking those webs got pretty big by the end of the big case.
But they didn't move versus like the earlier game, like you could move all the pieces around. This one is just your job is to connect the strings.
And one thing I did like is that while the main game is functionally one large extended case with different facets, they break the game into chapters. This way you're not trying to deal with juggling every single thing at once. You have sort of goals for each chapter and a different piece or several pieces of information to figure out, which then close that chapter and you move on to the next, which makes it easier to pick up and put down and come back to if you have to.
Yes, so that's pretty much how I was playing it. But it's also a nice nod to its literacy roots.
Agreed. And at first I was also mildly annoyed with not being able to run. I wanted to move between all of these points faster. And then I stopped and thought about it for a second. Because wait, Poirot never runs. Like, that's basically one of his defining character traits, is not needing to move fast.
Really? I had the same thoughts, but a different conclusion. Because I'm not as familiar with the books or the movies as you are. About the running, I was at first very frustrated with that. And then as I was thinking about it, like, I was also playing the Phoenix Wright series from time to time. And that one, you have fast travel between rooms and stuff. And I realized the slow walking gives you time to think about things and just absorb everything and be more observant.
Very true. And as much as I complain about the walking, it really wasn't that long. We're talking maybe 20 seconds maximum, if you know where you're going.
Yeah, but when you don't know what you're doing, walking from room to room, it is.
Oh yeah, that can add up.
It's exhausting.
Especially if you miss something small in one of the rooms.
I mean, if I went back to 100%, that's when I would have want to fast travel.
But at that point, you already know the plot, so you don't really have to think.
You don't have to think, but you still got to walk.
True.
And where I'm from, we're all about fast walking over here.
True. A very non-European attitude towards walking.
That's true, too.
And a Europe in 1910 or something. Here we're going to start getting into major character and then eventually plot spoilers. So this is your warning to stop listening if you want to preserve those aspects of the mystery for yourself. Otherwise, continue onwards to hear everything we've got to chatter about.
Hercule, he's a World War I veteran, right? Or
yes, in the main stories he is. I'm not sure if he is at this point in this tale, though.
But they do mention the two of the characters fought in the war, and I was reading into it, and many people say that the only war available is the Boer War, and that's something that people don't know a lot of history about.
That seems a bit odd, too, because they're in Belgium, and to the best of my knowledge, Belgium wasn't really involved in the Boer War.
That major, was he British?
Oh, yeah.
He's British, yeah, he's British.
He's British.
But the brothers were
Zacharias and Gideon. I mean, it might be immediately an after World War I setting, so we're talking either 1910 or 1920.
Only closer to 1910.
So, in general, how did you feel about the deductions that you have to make throughout the series and the links that you have to draw?
Some of it I thought was frustrating, but I did enjoy each person's motivations and starting to cross out people that you think that, hey, this person might have something to do with it. There were a lot of red herrings in this one. A lot of information. Let's look at the plot threads, right? There was the workers' union strike. There was the maid's brother. Now we're heavy spoilers. Those are the two main motivations for the murder of the major. Oh, and the blackmail, which is the reason why you're there.
And he's involved with the factory that's having the strike.
Silva,
You've also got a journalist who's following everything going on here, who is talking to everyone and behaving suspiciously.
which is the American,
Who else do we have now?
the union organizer.
So, yeah, he's there as well. And the official reason they're being brought together is to try and end the strike after the security forces have shot some people. So, yeah, things have escalated and they're brought in. And we've got this pretty good cast of characters who are all behaving suspiciously, which is good. Because you can't just look at somebody who's behaving normally and rule them out as a suspect.
And I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed all the little mysteries. Yeah, the little red herrings and everything. But there were just so many of them. I don't know if that's normal for her stories to have that many red herrings.
It depends on the story, but most of them have what I call an A plot, a B plot, and a C plot, which allows every single character to behave suspiciously, but only say half or a third of them are involved in the central mystery. The rest are doing something else.
You have to have that to fool people or to have a good mystery, I suppose.
Yeah, because otherwise it would be too easy to rule people out based on their lack of suspicious actions. And then if you want to make them guilty of something at the end, you have to have them have a personality change. But if everyone behaves like they have a secret, it allows you to keep wondering.
Have you ever heard of the 10 Commandments of Ronald Knox?
Yes, I had a fun discussion about this last week, though I had to look up the details around the Chinaman one.
Yeah, number five.
Yeah, do you know the origin of that one?
Vaguely, they did bring it up in Dungeons and Daddies, which is why I know about it when they did their murder mystery. Like, I could guess. That time period, in 1929, when this was written, Ronald Knox, I think he was a priest.
Yep.
Like after the Boxing Rebellion, a lot of theory of others being used as adversaries. So I kind of guess it's that. A lot of cliches here.
The Chinaman was a British stereotype meant to evoke racism and the rejection of the other from even before the Boxer Rebellion. So his commandment was cut that shit out.
Too easy, too easy.
Yeah, just the way it's written now, you look at it and go,
So for anyone listening, those realize why I'm laughing is I am actually Chinese, which is why this tickles me.
Yeah, so these commandments are some decent rules, though we should probably look at them as guidelines.
Oh yeah, they're more guidelines of rules, yeah. So, but I was thinking about that when I was playing as well, like the factory manager, their art style is vaguely Asian. So I was thinking about that while I was playing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that or anything.
I did think about that a bit, but he seemed to only behave like an evil businessman. And I felt like if you pasted any other race of evil industrialist into that position, it would have behaved the same way. So the scummy vibes I got from him came from his occupation, not just because he looked Asian.
Well, but why not both? Was kind of my thought playing it. I mean, the rules also say you have secret passageways, twins. So I was kind of looking for that. So kind of a little bit of my knowledge of murder mystery of stuff kind of clouded some of my deductions in this game.
Oh, yeah. A more extensive knowledge of especially classic mystery novels will really help out in this type of game.
But this one, it kind of tripped me up a little bit. As we were saying, with all the different weaving, this game had 2 parlor scenes, didn't it? I had a version of the parlor scene where you're just talking about the one of the 2 plots, which is the workers' strike. And then you have the final one.
Yeah, it does kind of have 2 denouements.
Oh, that's what it's called. All right.
There's still a big one.
Of course, the big one. The big one's always the most fun. The big one is the crescendo of everything.
I enjoyed it, though I was a little bit dissatisfied that it had to be the maid out of all of the available suspects.
All right. So ending wise, though, right? I feel like you were not just convincing the other characters of who done it, but you're also convincing the player, like, yeah, it's the maid and it's not her fault. She was already standing trial in front of all of them. So full spoiler for it, like, yeah, she did, but it was in self-defense and you're going through it. And I didn't expect that kind of a twist. And that tickled me.
Agreed. I was ready to pin it on the cook, who, to be fair, had a great motive.
Although Mama Maria, I'm not gonna lie, that was one name I remembered. One name, like her character just straight up sticks out for so many reasons. Her motivation. She doesn't even show up that much. You don't see her until like the middle of the game.
Oh, yeah, it was the middle, because it takes a little while before you get access to interviewing the servants.
Yeah, but she was the most memorably written character, in my opinion.
And boy, did she have an axe to grind.
Oh yeah, but she could have just poisoned all of them too. When you're the cook, you got opportunity.
True that. I was mostly positive on the deductions you have to make throughout the game. There was a few of them that I felt I just had to randomly guess. But yeah, it's hard because sometimes they want you to link things that are similar and sometimes not.
Oh yeah, there's the parts where I had to brute force.
So yeah, like with the example from earlier, you can say the cook was in the kitchen and the maid was in the kitchen, so you can link those two to say they reinforce each other's alibis. But other times you have to link things that contradict each other in order to bring up a question. Like the cook said she was in the kitchen, but the maid said she saw the cook in the garden. So you would link those two in order to say, okay, well, one of them must be incorrect and I need to dig further into these. And each of those makes sense sort of in isolation. But then you have this giant web of clues. Sometimes you don't know what you're looking for, and if something doesn't fit very easily into self-reinforcing or a contradiction, then, well, what am I looking for?
Did you notice that if you couldn't figure it out after like maybe 3 or 5 tries, like it will give you a hint.
Yeah, it'll start making some of them glow.
Yeah, it'll make some of them glow, which was helpful. It's not in your face of making you like, hey, dum dum, it's this. Like, we should look at this one.
It took me an embarrassing amount of time to notice that was happening.
It's not like Navi going, hey, look.
Thank God for that. And they're nice about sorting things into the different plot strings, into different sections of the board. And if it wants you to make deductions, it'll have a little number up in the corner. It'll say, 0 out of 3. So you know that there's 3 deductions that are on this section of the board that it wants you to make. And so if you can manage to link up 2 of them, you can figure that part out. And it's also nice because if there's no deductions it wants you to make, you won't waste time looking for them.
The little mechanics of the hints was nice. I don't know if I would have been able to do it without it. I would have been far more frustrated, I feel like, without those little hints.
Definitely. And if you're stuck, it would be so much harder to unstick yourself, because without that, you wouldn't know, am I missing a deduction that unlocks a new conversation? Or is there a piece of evidence I didn't examine in a room that adds a new clue? At least having a little deduction counter allows you to eliminate one of the possibilities, which I did need. Because sometimes I just didn't click on something, and that was on me.
And then the long walk back and forth.
Yep, trying every single room, trying to figure out what it was. I missed a few things here and there. It wasn't too bad, and the little interaction points are not too aggressive or too well hidden. I think they have a good balance there.
Did you get all the achievements?
No, I missed a couple, but I also wasn't particularly trying. I missed a lot of the click on every single type of thing, like windows, for example, because usually all the windows in a given room give you the same flavor text, and some of those rooms have what feels like 20 windows or something insane.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to click on all those.
Yeah, I'm missing that one too.
I missed something in the denouement. I didn't do it perfectly.
Ah.
I don't know what I missed, but I chose to play it as it lie.
I kept resetting it. I got it right. Dave scummed it. I missed return to the scene of the crime alone for a second time. Stop for a refreshment during a tea moment. And the same one with the window with you that you said, as well as examine all items in the staff-related area.
I missed one of the items in the snow as well.
Oh, I didn't even...
Thought I looked for everything in the snow, but apparently I missed something.
Wonder if I'll have to play the whole game over again to get them, but I don't know if it's worth 100%ing it.
I figure playing through the whole game and experiencing it, that's good enough for me.
And let's get to the point of where we go, do we like this game? How do you feel about it?
Overall, I like it. There are a few things I'd want to tweak and improve, but I enjoyed the experience. It felt like a fun story and a decent game about that fun story.
I don't regret playing it. I mean, if I played for 20-something hours, I'd probably regret it, because then I'd feel like a dum-dum. But looking at Steam and seeing like how much it costs and things, like I don't feel like it's worth $20 straight up. It's worth like a humble bundle. I feel like if that was a good price.
That's fair.
Yeah. The metrics of it. Spoiler in my life. I like to measure my entertainment value stuff like the cost of a movie ticket, right? Like movie tickets like $20. Like, wow, actually, I usually measure that as $10. So like $10, couple hours. This one was usually about 8 for most people.
So it's about the same bracket.
But the same bracket as a movie ticket. It was enjoyable, especially as a travel game for me. Would you have played it on the Steam Deck or like while traveling?
Oh, I would definitely play it there. I just wasn't traveling much when I happened to play through this game.
I really more asked for like recommendation wise, like what'd you feel about one of our friends playing it?
Yeah, so I would recommend it to people who like the sort of mix of adventure game and detective game, because it's a good solid mix of both. And I would recommend it second within the series. My favorite was the original, the ABC Murders.
Well,
And that may be a subjective thing.
it's all subjective.
It was about smaller deductions, so the detecting part was less, but I was fascinated because I had just read the book maybe about 4 months before playing it.
The ABC Murders? Is that a book?
It's one of Agatha Christie's books.
Oh,
And so I was very curious, how are they going to put this story into a game?
adapt it.
We'll cover that one at some point. But the First Cases is my second favorite in the series. Like if I had to put a word on it, I'd say it's good, but maybe not great or excellent. Just good.
This game feels like it should be a longer series. The prologue was you knew that was a tutorial going in. But the whole game, as I said, like it feels more like just a chunk of a meal as opposed to a whole dinner. Right? Like I feel unfulfilled for some reason. A good story. I enjoyed and the voice acting was really nice. The voice actors and stuff gave it a gravitas that I enjoyed. But it just feels like I feel like there should be more. I feel like it's just one book in a series, which kind of is.
That's fair. I mean, it is a fairly contained case. It's not super long, and some of that length is just because it takes time to go through, figure things out in the menus, takes time to walk around. So out of a 10-hour game, there's only, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 hours of good feeling content, which is probably why it feels a bit less strong.
A good way to put it.
One thing I did like is that when you're in conversation with a character, it puts up these pastel drawings of the people with the emotion for that block of text. I really enjoyed those because after playing multiple games that have kind of janky facial animations for when you're interviewing a suspect, just having that still frame but an artfully done one felt really nice. Such a little thing, but it really stood out in my mind afterwards.
The art was good. The voice acting was good. And it gave it some time period, but it did feel like something was missing. I can't quite put my finger on it at the moment.
It is a bit of a smaller game, so people should not be expecting a AAA experience because it's not. It's more AA.
If you can get for like $5 or less, 100% enjoy that. That's a nice bite-sized game.
It's a qualified recommendation.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I tell people to play it. I'd gift it to somebody.
Definitely, if they're a mystery fan. And it's also probably good for people who are not super hardcore gamers. So yeah, a qualified recommendation from the experts here at Flatfoots and Fools.
You should come up with a one way to say it, whether we recommend it or not. I will workshop that.
Well, we'll wrap things up here. Hope you all go out and enjoy some nice detective games.
Good night.
Podcast is edited by Peter Crevier. Podcast art is by Lolita Gross. Music by Antonic Music.